So Year 9s, on Monday, we started doing some work around different sentence structures and different types of sentences, simple, compound, complex, so that we can have a go at using those different style of sentence when we're writing to advise. And right at the top of this page that you can see at the moment from the textbook, it says adapting your writing to your audience. So the way in which you give advice depends on the audience you're writing for and your purpose. The advice below to parents is taken from a leaflet about drugs and solvents. The tone is serious and formal. The text has been annotated to show you how it's been structured and how the formal tone is achieved. So let's have a read through the extract, Life Can Be Difficult for Parents. It's not easy to be always available for your children, so it's important to talk and listen to them when you are available. If they feel you're interested in their views and in their problems, they'll be much more likely to confide in you. You might then be able to influence whether or not they experiment with drugs, or help them if they've already started, and at least make sure they are well informed. However reluctant you may be, it's far better to talk about the problem with your child. So then we've got the 4 bullet points. Talk to them about their feelings on drugs. Get them to think about how they might refuse drugs. Listen and take your children seriously. Set an example. The way you use alcohol, tobacco and medicines is an example to your children. So I know it's very, very tiny writing, but if we just have a look at the annotations around the side of it, it tells us at the top that it begins by showing an understanding of the reader's difficulties, so the problems or the difficulties that a parent may have. Can you find another place in the text where the writer does this? Is there another place where they acknowledge the difficulties of being a parent? Have a go at trying to find that. We've got formal vocabulary that's suited to an adult audience when we've got words like available. Okay, can you find any other examples of formal vocabulary that's suitable for an adult audience in this piece of writing? The advice begins in the sentence, so it's important to talk and listen to them when you are available. Hopefully you'll recognise that as an imperative sentence, so it's telling the reader directly what to do, talk and listen to them. And then in the bullet points, it says the advice is set out differently in this section. Can you work out why? Why doesn't it carry on as a paragraph of writing? Why bullet point that information? So have a go at answering those questions. You can discuss them with somebody at home or write them down, and then we'll move on. So if we focus now on the sentence structure, it tells us at the top of this page, the text on page 143 uses a variety of sentence structures to get advice across to readers. We've got 4 examples. Life can be difficult for parents is a simple sentence that consists of 1 clause. It's an effective way to begin this particular text because it provides a clear and simple introduction to the topic, the difficulty that some parents have in talking to their children about drugs. So starting off nice and simple with a short, simple sentence to get to the point so we know what this is all about. The second one, so it's important to talk and listen to them when you are available. That's a complex sentence consisting of a main clause, so it's important, and a subordinate clause, when you are available. The main clause could make a sentence on its own. The subordinate clause would not make a sentence on its own, but gives additional information about the main clause. In this case, the subordinate clause is used to show that the writer understands there may be demands on parents' time. Third one. If they feel you are interested in their views and in their problems, they'll be much more likely to confide in you. So that's also a complex sentence. The subordinate clause, beginning with if, is a subtle and indirect way of giving advice. This sentence shows how if one course of action is taken, then another is likely to follow, so cause and effect. Parents are being advised to take an interest in what their children say, and as a result, their children will be more likely to confide in them. And then finally, talk with them about their feelings appears in the second section of this text. In this section, the advice is given much more directly. This sentence and the others in this section are imperatives which give instructions, as we said a minute or two ago. So we're going to have a go at activity 2, and I'd like you to have a go at writing your own simple sentence addressed to parents. Your sentence will form the first part of an advice leaflet called Drugs: A Parent's Guide. Then in parts 2 and 3, we've got some gaps to fill. So it says complete the gaps in this complex sentence with ideas of your own. This sentence will be part of your advice leaflet. So it's important to something when something. So if you look at the example that we've got above, it's important to talk and listen to them when you are available. Think about what else we could put in those gaps. Number 3, write your own sentence addressed to parents for your advice leaflet using this model. So if something, then they will something. Again, the example that we were given, if they feel you're interested in their views and in their problems, they'll be much more likely to confide in you. So have a go at writing your own sentence to fit that structure. And then finally, I'd like you to have a go at writing your own sentence using an imperative to give advice to parents when talking to their children about drugs. Okay, so it should take you about 5 to 10 minutes to have a go at writing those 4 sentences. So what we're going to do then is the third activity based on what we've been reading, and this is to create 2 to 3 paragraphs for a leaflet about a parent's guide to drugs. Your audience then is going to be parents, so adults. The purpose is to inform parents about the signs to look for if their child is taking drugs. The work must have a clear introduction, use the correct language, so we want it to stay formal, and it must state the facts. It should use presentational features, so think about how you would present this leaflet, present the information. Are you going to underline headings? Are you going to use bullet points or paragraphs? Think about all of those sorts of things with the presentational features. And it should also use thoughtful sentence starters. Think about what actually you want to get across to your reader. It could use the word you to appeal to your readers directly. So it's again thinking about the persuasive techniques that we've used in the past. If we want someone to really focus on what you've written and make it feel like it's written directly for them, using the word you is a good way to do that. And it should mainly be written in the present tense. Just a little bit more guidance to help you with planning and writing this piece of writing. It says use the information box to write a whole paragraph for your advice leaflet. The heading for this section is how do you know if your child is using drugs? So we've got 5 facts here. Mood changes from happy to sad, loss of appetite, no interest in hobbies, schoolwork, sport or friends, falling asleep, unexplained loss of money or belongings from the home. You'll notice that they're all just written in note form. Obviously, you'd need to put them in full sentences. So it gives you a starter sentence that you could use. Young people sometimes experiment with drugs. You don't have to use that as your starter sentence, but it's there if you can't come up with one of your own. Then, if we go through the steps to help structure our writing, step 1, keep your audience in mind. Remember, this is parents, so we're writing for adults. We're going to be using formal vocabulary. Show that you understand the difficulties your readers might have. Use formal vocabulary, avoiding slang. State facts rather than opinions. So you're not giving your opinion here. You're not going to be using the word I. So you could use a phrase, it can be seen that, rather than I think. Write mostly in the present tense. Appeal to your readers directly using the words you or your children. And use a variety of sentences. Those 4 that you've just written can be used in your piece of writing. When you've had a go at drafting this out, move on to step 2, redraft and refine your work. So when you've finished, read your work aloud to a partner. That can be someone at home, brother, sister, parent. Then ask him or her to find at least one example of each of the following. So have you used appropriate vocabulary for an adult audience? Have you used those different sentence types? Have you got places where you've appealed to your audience directly? based on what your partner or parent or a friend or whoever's at home with you, based on their feedback, you can then make some alterations to your work before producing the final draft. And again, if you want to send me your final draft by email or putting it on folder in the English department section, that's absolutely fine. You're probably going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes having a go at this, and we'll continue with the work later in the week. Okay, off you go.